Yo, what's good, fam? Welcome back to the channel. If you're here, it's because you're a real deal Commanders fan and you want to know everything going on with our squad during this absolutely crucial offseason. And let me tell you something, bro, today we've got 3 massive updates. From new uniforms to dream trade scenarios and a legit battle for the starting middle linebacker spot. This is wild. Look, after a 2025 season that was, let's just say, rough, 5-12, man, it still stings every time I say it. The Commanders are in full rebuild mode. But not that tanking kind of rebuild, nah. This is a rebuild with Jayden Daniels as our franchise QB, with massive cap space to spend, and with Adam Peters moving like a chess master in the market. So buckle up, because what we've got today is going to blow your mind. And listen, I know a lot of y'all are still processing what went down in 2025. We were coming off a magical 2024 season, bro. 12-4, made it to the NFC Championship game. Jayden Daniels won Rookie of the Year. Everything felt perfect. And then 2025 hit us like a truck. Injuries, bad decisions, no chemistry, and we ended up 5-12. It was brutal, fam. But here we are, ready to rise again, because that's what real fans do. Bro, we're starting off strong with a story that's got the entire fan base going crazy on social media. The Commanders just dropped a visual bomb that could completely change our aesthetic identity. A new spear logo and possibly a throwback alternate uniform inspired by the 60s. And listen, this isn't just fan hype on Twitter or Reddit. There's real evidence, clear patterns, and a strategy behind all of it. First, let me give you the full context, because this has been building for a while. Last season, Washington made a huge move. They brought back the Super Bowl-era uniforms. Those classic burgundy and gold fits we all love that connect us to legends like Joe Theismann, John Riggins, and the Hogs. And they look so good, got so much love from the fans, that their strong buzz, they'll become the primary uniform starting in 2020-6. But now, fam, it looks like the team isn't stopping there. In a recent post on the team's official social media, a clean, well-designed spear logo popped up, and people absolutely lost it. The comments blew up, the subreddit filled with theories, and we all started connecting the dots. Why? Because all throughout the 2025 season, the team was playing with the spear theme consistently. Remember those leaked media day pics of Jayden Daniels holding a ceremonial spear before the season started? Back then we were all like, that's weird, kind of random. But then we started seeing spears in game day graphics, player intros, promo videos literally everywhere. The team went full into the Greco-Roman aesthetic, constantly talking about what it means to be a commander, the honor of the warrior, the battle, that whole epic cinematic vibe. And now this logo shows up officially in a team post. Not fan art, not speculation, official content. It could be a new alternate logo for merch and marketing, part of a refreshed visual identity for certain contexts. Or it could be confirmation of what we've all been hoping for, a throwback uniform to the iconic 60s design with the spear. Bro, picture Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and the whole squad rocking those vintage colors. That brutal retro aesthetic that connects us to the days of Sonny Jurgensen and Sam Huff. It would be perfect, fam. The ideal balance between honoring the past and building the future. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. Look, it's no secret that the original rebrand uniforms with the gradient were controversial, to put it nicely. People hated them. Bro, too modern, too generic. Looked like expansion team uniforms with no history. They completely lost the essence of who we are as a franchise. Fans complained like crazy, analysts trashed them, and even some players said off the record they weren't feeling them. So the team listened. And that, fam, is huge. In the corporate world of pro sports, teams don't always listen to fans. But the Commanders did. They brought back the Super Bowl-era jerseys as alternates first, saw the overwhelmingly positive reaction, and now it looks like they're doubling down with another alternate that connects us even deeper to our glorious History. And it makes perfect strategic sense, bro. The Commanders are literally going back to the RFK Stadium site soon to build a new stadium. They're physically reconnecting with the place where those Super Bowls were won, where legends were made. So what better time to reconnect visually too? It's a perfect narrative. New era, new stadium, but deep roots in tradition. This uniform move isn't just about looks, fam. It's cultural. It's identity. It's telling the fan base, especially the older fans who lived through those golden years, we get who we are. We get where we come from. And we're going to honor that while building something new. Now, what do we know for sure? That in 2026, there will be a new alternate uniform and a new helmet. That's basically confirmed by multiple trusted sources in the sports uniform industry and team insiders. The real question is, will it be the exact 60s throwback with the spear, a modernized version of that design, or something brand new but inspired by that aesthetic? Personally, I think they'll go full nostalgia with a subtle modern twist. Fans are begging for it across every platform, and the team knows those classic uniforms sell merch like crazy, generate media hype, and make us feel emotionally connected to the legends of the past. It's a total win-win from every angle. Marketing, identity, team morale, fan connection. Bro, imagine a deep burgundy color rush with bright gold accents and the spear logo on the helmet. I'm getting literal chills just thinking about it. That would be one of the cleanest uniforms in the entire NFL. And another important thing, fam. These kinds of visual moves matter way more than casual fans realize. A new uniform creates national media buzz, sells tons of merch, jerseys, hats, everything, drives social media engagement, and sparks conversation. In an off-season where we desperately need to rebuild morale and optimism after 5-12, something like this could be the perfect psychological boost. Players feel it when they put on a uniform the fans love. Fans feel it when their team looks fire. Even opponents notice and respect it. Plus, think about it from a pure marketing and business angle. If the Commanders drop these uniforms alongside big free agency moves, imagine signing an elite edge rusher or a successful draft. The hype would be absolutely insane. The narrative writes itself. New era, new visual identity, same warrior heart, back to our roots. Teams that have done this right in recent years have seen massive benefits. Look at the Chargers with their modernized powder blues, or the Bengals going back to their roots. It creates energy, drives sales, builds cultural relevance. I'm personally HYPD to the max, bro. I've literally been waiting years for this team to fully return to its visual roots, and it finally feels like it's really happening. If they officially confirm the 60s throwback with the spear, it's going to be one of the best days of the entire offseason. I swear on everything. And if you're like me and love the details and strategy behind sports marketing, look at how the team has been methodically laying the groundwork for months. It wasn't a coincidence that they were putting the spear everywhere during the 2025 season. It was a long, calculated teaser, a subtle but consistent marketing campaign. They were planting the seed in fans' minds, building familiarity with the symbol, creating anticipation. And now all that's left is the official reveal with photos, videos, maybe even a special event. And when that reveal drops, fam, this subreddit's going to explode. Twitter's going to explode. Instagram's going to explode. I'm literally going to explode from excitement. It's going to be one of those moments we remember as fans. Also, think about the timing. It's February, the Super Bowl's about to happen. Then we've got the Combine, free agency, and the draft. If they drop the uniforms in March or April, right before or during free agency, they maximize the media impact. Everyone's going to be talking about the Commanders, and that helps with free agent recruiting too. Players want to play for teams that feel relevant, that have a strong identity. So, stay locked in, fam. We'll probably get the official announcement with the full package pro photos, video reveal, maybe even an event with team legends within the next 4 to 8 weeks. And when it happens, I'll be right here breaking down every detail. Every meaning, every implication. This news has me more excited than almost anything else this offseason, bro. Because it represents something bigger than just clothes. It represents identity, pride, connection to our history. And that, fam, is what makes being a fan of this team worth it through the highs and the lows. Okay, bro. Take a deep breath because that was intense. But now let's move on to something that could completely reshape our roster and give Jaden Daniels the weapons he needs to dominate. Fam, hold on tight because this one's the kind of news that makes you daydream. The kind that has you checking Twitter every 5 minutes waiting for breaking news. A highly respected analyst from Bleacher Report, Alex Ballantine, just dropped an article naming 3 high-profile trade targets for the Commanders this offseason. Max Crosby from the Raiders, Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jaguars, and Tyreek Hill from the Dolphins. And while it might sound like pure Madden franchise mode fantasy, there are real and legit reasons to seriously consider at least one of these names. First, let me give you the full picture of where we stand as an organization. Adam Peters, our GM who came over 2 years ago from San Francisco, has shown over and over again that he's not afraid to make bold, creative moves. Last offseason, in 2025, he traded for Laramie Tunsil from the Texans and brought in Deebo Samuel from the Niners. 2 moves nitrogen monoxide 1 saw coming that generated massive hype. And even though the 2025 season didn't go how we hoped, 5-12 still hurts, bro. Those specific trades were solid on their own. Tunsil was a straight-up rock at left tackle, protecting Jaden's blind side with elite consistency. Deebo brought that unique versatility as a receiver and runner that opens up the playbook. The problem wasn't those trades, fam. The problem was the Marshon Lattimore trade midseason in 2024, which didn't pan out, injuries, scheme fit issues, and left us dangerously short on draft picks for 2025 and 2020-6. So, what does Adam Peters do in this critical offseason? Well, we've got absolutely insane cap space, fam. We're talking over $80 million available, one of the highest numbers in the entire league. We can spend big in free agency with zero cap issues. But we also have a tricky reality. Only 6 total picks in the April draft, and we're missing our 2nd and 4th rounders because of past trades. That seriously limits our ability to build through the draft, which is usually the most cost-effective way to improve a roster. So a smart trade, especially for a young player still on a rookie deal or with years of team control, could be exactly the right move to balance our situation. Now, let's break down the 3 names Ballantini mentioned. Max Crosby is an absolute beast. Bro, we're talking one of the top 3 or 4 edge rushers in the entire NFL. A vocal, natural leader, a guy who lives in the opposing quarterback's backfield, who plays with a motor and intensity that lifts the whole defense. He's got elite technique, a full arsenal of pass rush moves, and he's strong against the run too. He's exactly the kind of game wrecker every defense dreams of. But let's be totally honest and realistic. Fam, Crosby is way out of our price range in terms of draft capital. The Raiders, even if they're in rebuild mode, would probably ask for at least 2 first-round picks, maybe more. And we just can't afford that. We already gave up valuable picks for Lattimore, and it didn't work out. We can't mortgage the future again. That aggressively plus Crosby's contract is huge. Yeah, we've got cap space now, but that deal would limit our flexibility in future years when we'll need to extend Jaden Daniels, who's going to cost $50+ million a year easily, and other key players. Is it worth locking up all that future cap space for an edge rusher, no matter how good, when we've got other urgent needs at cornerback, wide receiver, and offensive line depth? Personally, I say no, fam. It's a beautiful dream and amazing fantasy to picture Max Crosby in our burgundy and gold chasing down Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott. But it's unrealistic, impractical, and probably not the smartest long-term move. We've got to be smart, not emotional. Tyreek Hill is another name that sounds absolutely amazing on paper, bro. a proven explosive wide receiver, Super Bowl champ, who could be the perfect complement to Terry McLaurin and give Jaden Daniels a vertical speed threat that opens up the whole field. Hill is still one of the fastest receivers in the league, has reliable hands, and knows how to show up in big moments. But fam, Tyreek is old in NFL terms. He's about to turn 32, and for a receiver who relies so much on pure speed and explosiveness, that's a red flag. Plus, he's coming off a significant injury that slowed him down in the second half of 2025, and his contract is absolutely brutal. The Dolphins probably want to move him just to clear cap space and reset. But do we really want to take on that financial and health risk? I honestly don't think so. I'd much rather invest in someone who can grow with Jaden over the next 5 to 7 years. Someone who'll be in their prime when Jaden's in his. Hill might give us 2 good years if we're lucky, and then we'd be stuck with a heavy contract for a declining player. That's not smart team building. FAM. And that's where Brian Thomas Jr. comes in. And this is where things get really interesting and exciting. Brian Thomas Jr. Fam was absolutely sensational as a rookie in 2024 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He exploded right out the gate, showing incredible hands, elite separation ability, advanced route running for a rookie, and big play potential that flipped games. He finished with over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns legit. WR1 numbers. He looked like a home run first-round pick, but in 2025, under new head coach Liam Cohen and a new offensive system, his production dropped significantly. There were clear chemistry issues with the quarterback, scheme fit problems, and questionable usage. Cohen preferred a shorter, quicker passing game, and BT Jr. is more of a vertical threat and contested catch guy. Even though he started to find his rhythm again late in the season and flashed his talent, the year was disappointing compared to his rookie campaign. And here's what makes this potentially perfect for us. The Jaguars might actually be open to moving him if they get a strong offer. Not because he's a bust or a problem, but because they've got major needs elsewhere. O-line, defense, and could use the picks to rebuild. It's a situation where both teams could win. And now here's the absolutely crazy part. Bro, the reason this has me more hyped than anything else. Brian Thomas Jr. and Jaden Daniels were teammates at LSU. Not just teammates, fam. They were locked in. They've got real, proven chemistry. They know each other's timing. They trust each other completely. And we've seen it over and over again in today's NFL, reuniting a quarterback with his favorite college. Receiver works like magic. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in Cincy. Instant dominance. C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell in Houston. Immediate chemistry. Tua and Jalen Waddle in Miami. The list goes on, bro. There's something special about that built-in trust and familiarity. Picture this scenario. Fam, visualize it with me. Terry McLaurin as our veteran WR1. The guy who's always open, makes the tough catches, total pro. And Brian Thomas Jr. as WR2. A constant vertical threat, a guy who wins 50-50 balls and stretches the field. Suddenly, we've got one of the most dangerous and balanced WR rooms in the league. Jaden would have 2 legit elite weapons, and that would open up the entire offense. Safeties couldn't double Terry without leaving BT Jr. in single coverage, where he dominates. And if they double Brian, Terry eats all day. It's a perfect win-win. A nightmare for defensive coordinators. And here's the crucial part. Fam, Brian Thomas Jr. is still on his rookie contract 4 years, with 2 guaranteed left and a 5th-year option we could pick up. That means he's cheap compared to signing a veteran free agent wideout who costs $20 to $25 million a year. We're talking maybe $3 to $4 million a year for WR1, WR2 talent. That's insane value. And if it works out, if the chemistry with Jaden is as good as we think, BT Jr. could eventually be the natural successor to Terry McLaurin when Terry retires or moves on in 2 to 3 years. It's a perfect long-term investment that gives us immediate competitive window and future security. But bro, Here comes the tough part, the million-dollar question. What would it actually cost to get him? The Jaguars aren't giving him away, obviously. A 23-year-old wideout with proven first-round talent has huge value. They'd probably ask for our first-round pick, number 7 overall, and maybe a second-rounder too, which we'd have to acquire first, or a third. And we do have that number 7 overall pick, which is extremely valuable. Is it worth trading that pick where we could draft an elite corner like Will Johnson or an edge like Abdul Carter for Brian Thomas Jr.? That's a genuinely TOUGH question, fam. No easy answer. Personally, I think it depends entirely on who's available when we're on the clock at pick 7. If there's a can't-miss generational prospect at a critical need, an all-pro caliber corner, a Micah Parsons-type edge, a tackle who can anchor our line for 10 years, we probably keep the pick and draft. But if the board's murky, if the top guys are gone and we're looking at more question marks, then yeah, fam, I'd absolutely pull the trigger on a trade for Brian Thomas Jr. without hesitation. Because Jaden Daniels needs reliable weapons, and BT Jr. is exactly that. He's a proven commodity, not a projection dot and look, fam. Adam Peters shocked everyone last year with the Laramie Tunsil trade. Literally, nitrogen monoxide won in the media saw it coming. No insider reported it beforehand. Total surprise. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if Peters pulls something similar this year, a move out of nowhere that leaves us all speechless. If the Jaguars are truly open to listening on Brian Thomas Jr., and there are signs they might be, Peters is absolutely going to be on the phone exploring. This is exactly the kind of creative move he loves, acquiring young talent on a favorable rookie deal. Bro, imagine the Twitter alert. Breaking. The Washington Commanders have acquired W.R. Brian Thomas Jr. from the Jacksonville Jaguars. The subreddit would literally explode. Twitter would go nuts. I'd probably scream in my house and scare my neighbors. And think about the marketing and narrative too, fam. LSU Tigers reunited in Washington would be a massive storyline that national media would run with all season. Every Commanders game would have that Angle 2 college champs reconnecting in the NFL. That's media gold dot. So yeah, fam out. Of the 3 names Ballantine mentioned, Crosby, Hill, and Thomas, Brian Thomas Jr. is the only one that makes real, practical, strategic sense. Crosby and Hill are nice podcast fantasies, but they're not happening. Brian Thomas Jr. is a legit possibility that could actually go down if the stars align, dot. And if it does, if we really land him, it could completely change the trajectory of our offense and give Jaden exactly what he needs to go from very good to elite MVP caliber. That's the difference between being a 9-8 wild card team and a 13-4 top seed, bro. Fam, this one's definitely more low-key than the last 2. It's not going to make national headlines. But if you're a real student of the game, if you truly understand football beyond the highlights, you know the middle linebacker is absolutely the brain of the entire defense. It's the defensive quarterback, the one making pre-snap calls, adjusting coverages, identifying offensive formations. And in 2026, the Washington Commanders have a fascinating internal battle that could completely shape what our front 7 and defensive identity look like. Jordan McGee, our third-year linebacker out of Temple University, just gave a revealing interview with Ben Standig from The Athletic, and what he said was absolutely EYE opening in terms of his mindset, development, and goals. Standig played the audio on his podcast this week, and I listened to it like 3 times taking notes because there was so much substance in there. McGee went from starting literally 1 game in all of 2024, basically just a special teamer and backup, to starting EIGHT full games in 2025. And while the raw stats aren't flashy, 54 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, no sacks or picks, what really matters here is the trajectory, the growth, the development curve. McGee said straight up, I felt like there was a lot of growth for me as a player. As I got more time on the field, more reps, I felt progressively more comfortable with the system, with the calls, with reading offenses in real time. And that, bro, is exactly what you want to hear from a young developing player. He's not satisfied with where he's at, but he's honestly recognizing the real progress he's made. The jump from year 1 to year 2 is often the biggest for linebackers. Fam, in your rookie year, everything's fast, you're overwhelmed. You're thinking too much instead of reacting. In year 2, especially if you get real game reps, your knowledge base expands massively, your processing speed improves, and you start playing more free, more instinctive, more confident. McGee specifically talked about the technical areas he worked hard on during the offseason and season. I wanted to get better at getting off blocks from offensive linemen, which is fundamental for MLB. I worked a lot on my tackling technique, making sure I wrap up instead of just going for the hit. And my tracking ability, being able to follow running backs in space, especially in passing situations. And here's something super technical, but super important that he mentioned. For me, I want to play lower with better pad level to get better leverage against blockers. So I'm constantly working on my knee bend, staying low while moving laterally. That's exactly what you need in a modern MLB, fam. Knee bend and leverage are key to shedding blocks from 320-pound guards. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Bobby Wagner. Bobby is an absolute living legend of the game, bro. He hit 2,000 career tackles in the final game of the 2025 season, a milestone only a handful of players in NFL history have ever reached. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, no question. Beyond the stats, Bobby's been an incredible leader in our locker room, in the film room, and on the field. McGee himself acknowledged that with real gratitude. I appreciate everything Bobby's done for me, everything he's taught me. He's an amazing mentor. I'm probably even going to his MBA graduation at Howard University in May. You always got to show love and respect to someone who pulled off something like that academically while playing in the NFL. Bro, what kind of role model is Bobby? Wagner, getting an MBA while playing pro football? That's next level. Wagner's been crucial in teaching McGee the subtle details of the game you don't see on film. How to read a quarterback's eyes, how to diagnose play action fast, how to communicate effectively with DBS pre-snap, how to adjust gaps based on offensive formation. That kind of knowledge only comes from experience and a mentor willing to teach. But here comes the hard truth we have to face as an organization. Fam, Bobby Wagner has lost a step, maybe two. He's still elite against the run between the tackles, can fill gaps, shed blocks from centers, and tackle consistently. But in pass coverage, especially going sideline to sideline against fast receiving backs or athletic tight ends, he's not the same Bobby Wagner from his Seattle days. And in the modern NFL of 2026, where literally every offense uses running backs who can catch 50-plus passes, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Bijan Robinson, and tight ends who are basically big wide receivers, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts. You need a middle linebacker who can cover in space. It's non-negotiable, FAM. So the critical organizational question is, do you bring Bobby Wagner back in 2026? And if you do, is it as a starter playing 95% of defensive snaps, or as a veteran mentor in a reduced rotational role playing maybe 40 to 50% in specific situations? I think, fam, and this is my honest take after thinking it through, that the right answer is to bring him back in a significantly reduced role and give Jordan McGee a real shot to be the starter and play the majority of snaps. Let me break down my full reasoning. First, McGee showed real, tangible improvement from 2024 to 2025. He worked specifically on his technical weaknesses, shedding blocks, tackling form, tracking, and those are exactly the skills you need to develop to be a competent starting MLB. If he continues that natural growth curve into year 3, with a full offseason of prep as the guy, he can absolutely be a solid mid-level NFL starter. Second, Bobby Wagner can still bring tremendous value without being the guy who plays every single snap. Use him strategically in run defense on first and second down, in short yardage third downs, in goal line situations. But on obvious passing downs, third and long, 2-minute drills, let McGee fly around and cover with his 25-year-old athleticism. Third. And this is huge for the future long-term development. If Jordan McGee is going to be our true middle linebacker of the future, he needs real game reps. He needs to make mistakes, learn from them, gain experience in high-pressure situations. You can't fully develop a player by keeping him on the bench or only using him in specific packages. He's got to be out there making real-time decisions. Fourth, cap space and resource allocation. If Bobby Wagner comes back, even in a reduced role, he's not going to be cheap. That money could be better used at other critical need positions like edge rusher, cornerback, or wide receiver depth. We've got to be smart about how we spend our limited resources. Bro, don't get me wrong, I love Bobby Wagner. I respect everything he's done, everything he stands for. But this is a business, and we've got to think strategically about the future of the roster. Now, what if McGee truly isn't ready, if he steps up and struggles hard in training camp and preseason? Well, then you look at the free agent market or consider the draft. There are linebackers available every year in both, but I honestly believe McGee deserves the full opportunity. He's worked hard, learned from one of the best ever, and he's hungry to prove he can be the guy. And something I genuinely love about Jordan McGee, something that goes beyond football, is his mindset as a complete person. The dude's planning to go to Tokyo, Japan this offseason with his girlfriend to experience a completely different culture, to explore, to grow as a human being. Last year he couldn't make the trip because he was rehabbing an injury and needed to stay focused. But now he's healthy and wants to expand his horizons. That tells me he's a complete player, not just a one-dimensional football robot. He's got real interests outside the game, intellectual curiosity, a balanced life. And that usually translates to better performance on the field because you're mentally more grounded, less stressed, more fulfilled as a person. The best players I've seen over the years are often the ones with rich lives outside of football. They've got hobbies, passions, perspective. They don't let football consume literally every aspect of their existence, which can lead to burnout and anxiety. So yeah, fam, my official stance is Jordan McGee as the starter in 2026, playing 60 to 70% of defensive snaps. Bobby Wagner back in a rotational veteran mentor role, playing 30 to 40% in specific situations where his experience and run defense are most valuable. It's the best move for the team, both short-term competing in 2026 and long-term developing our future MLB. And if McGee really makes the leap, I think he can if he improves his processing speed and coverage ability by another 15 to 20%. We could have a very solid starter for the next 5 to 7 years on an extremely team-friendly contract. That's incredible value, fam. Bro, fam, y'all, what an absolutely massive offseason we've got ahead. New uniforms that reconnect us deeply with our glorious history and give us a refreshed visual identity. Dream trade scenarios that could give Jaden Daniels the elite weapons he needs to dominate. And fascinating internal battles for key positions that will define our defensive identity and team philosophy. This is genuinely crazy, and we're just getting started. Look, I know 2025 was painful. Fam, 5-12 hurts deep, especially after how magical 2024 was. It hurts seeing Jaden Daniels struggle behind an inconsistent offensive line. It hurts watching our defense give up big plays constantly. It hurts losing games we felt we should have won. But this team absolutely has the foundational pieces to bounce back strong. We've got Jaden Daniels, a generational franchise quarterback who showed in 2024 that he can be MVP caliber when he's got the right pieces around him. We've got massive cap space to spend smartly in free agency. We've got a GM in Adam Peters who's proven he can identify talent and make creative moves. And we've got a passionate fan base that's ready to believe again. If things go even relatively well, if we make a few smart free agency moves, have a solid draft, keep Jaden healthy, and improve offensive chemistry, 2026 could genuinely be the year we become real contenders again in the NFC. I'm not saying Super Bowl or bust, but playoffs and competing for the division are absolutely on the table. So fam, if you made it this far in the video, if you stuck with me through this whole deep dive, drop a like because it helps the algorithm big time. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already because we're going to be covering every move, every rumor, every piece of news from this critical offseason. And more importantly, tell me in the comments, what move has you the most hyped? The throwback uniforms? A possible trade for Brian Thomas Jr.? Or are you all in on Jordan McGee as the starter? I want to read everything y'all think, and bro. I'll see you in the next video real soon because this offseason is literally just getting started. And I'll be right here breaking down every development, every implication, every angle. Let's go Commanders, fam. HTTR forever.